Nick Dunne is having the worst morning of his life, and he doesn't even know it yet. It's the morning of his 5th wedding anniversary. He wanders into a bar, greets his twin sister Margot, and drops a bitter line about his wife Amy. Moments later, he returns home to find the front door wide open, the glass coffee table shattered and gone. No me, no note, no struggle. Just a sense of wrongness that sticks to everything like smoke. And with that, we're thrown headfirst into one of the most twisted marital mysteries you'll ever see unravel. Nick calls the police. Detectives arrive, snap photos, ask questions. Everything feels off. The scene is too perfect, too staged. Amy's typewriter sits untouched. The iron is still hot. And then they find the first clue. Literally. A note left by Amy, part of her traditional anniversary treasure hunt. Nick follows it, unsure if he's chasing a romantic memory or a breadcrumb trail to something darker. As the investigation builds, so does the media circus. Amy Dunne isn't just any missing woman. She's Amazing Amy, the inspiration for a famous children's book series written by her wealthy parents. The media swarms, reporters dig, cameras flash, and slowly, Nick starts to look less like a grieving husband and more like a prime suspect. Especially when his smiles don't match his words. And then that affair. Yep, Nick's been cheating. For over a year with one of his students. The perfect marriage? Cracked wide open. Public opinion turns brutal. Nick is painted as a cold, heartless killer. And honestly, he doesn't do himself any favors. Fumbling interviews, lying about his alibi, and smiling at the wrong moments. But even then, something doesn't quite click. Something's off. And that's when the movie shatters your expectations. Because guess what? Amy isn't dead. Not even close. She's alive. And on the run, grinning like the devil with a plan. She's been planning this for a long, long time. Meticulously crafting every detail to frame Nick for her murder. Faking diary entries to paint herself as the terrified, abused wife. Planting evidence, draining her blood, disappearing. All of it to punish Nick for cheating and to control the story, the narrative, the legacy of Amazing Amy. Her voice joins the film now, smug and cold and razor sharp. We see her transformation, how she dyed her hair, lost weight, and changed identities. She hides out in a cabin, confident her scheme will end with Nick on death row and her story immortalized. A perfect end to a perfect revenge. But life doesn't stick to the script. Her cash gets stolen by 2 shady neighbors, and suddenly the mastermind is desperate, dirty, and cornered. Meanwhile, Nick's learning fast. He figures out the truth. Amy's alive and she's watching everything. So he flips the game. Instead of fighting the monster, he speaks to her, publicly, on national television. A loving, remorseful speech that isn't for the audience. It's bait. And Amy takes it. She turns to her ex-boyfriend, Desi, rich, obsessed, and willing to protect her in a golden cage. But Amy's never been good at being caged. So she turns the tables again, drugs him, kills him in a gruesome, bloody scene, returns home covered in blood, and collapses into Nick's arms like a war hero returning from battle. The world cheers. The prodigal wife has returned, Nick is cleared, Desi becomes the scapegoat, but Nick knows the truth. Amy is the killer, the manipulator, the monster. And now she's back in his house, in his bed, smiling like nothing ever happened. And here's the real twist. He stays, not because he forgives her, not because he loves her, but because Amy is pregnant, or at least she says she is. She used his stolen semen from a fertility clinic, another move on her psychotic chessboard. And now Nick is trapped. Leaving would make him look like the villain again. Staying means becoming part of her twisted fairy tale. So he smiles, he plays along, they write a book, they appear in interviews, and behind every sweet photo, every scripted kiss, lies a war of silence, of manipulation, of control. Because in Gone Girl, the marriage isn't dead. It's a hostage situation dressed as a happy ending. And as the credits roll, one thing's painfully clear. This isn't a story about love or even about truth. It's about control, image, power. And what happens when 2 people turn marriage into a battleground with no way out? So, was Amy the villain? Was Nick the victim? Or are they just 2 sides of the same toxic coin? One thing's for sure, if you ever find yourself married to someone like Amy Dunne, run. And if you can't run, smile for the cameras.